picnic a few years ago, and he signed our petition to support a fair payment for solar power. At a food truck late at night, our director spoke with him, and he considered the petition, smiled and said, "A fair payment seems reasonable. I can't see anything wrong with that." And now he's our Taoiseach. And that's what this is about. It's about fairness. And that petition now has almost 21,000 signatures, and I thank Deputy Naughton for accepting it today. Our record on climate change is not inspiring, and despite agreeing to do so, we have failed to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions in any significant way. And like our Taoiseach, I am not proud of our reputation as the climate laggards of Europe. I think people are angry about that and scared. And this committee is well aware of the terrifying reality of climate change and the injustice that those who have done the least to cause it are and will suffer the worst effects of it. It is painfully unfair. Scared and angry as people are about climate change, I also see that they are motivated to participate in and embrace the solutions. The solutions that transition our energy system from fossil fuels to renewable energy. And that's where our communities come in. Ireland excels at the community level. We have a rich history of community spirit with organisations like the GAA and Tidy Towns, and now supported by the Sustainable Energy Authority, a network of over 200 sustainable energy communities are working around the country developing plans to decarbonise their towns and villages, to create jobs locally and to build local resilience. But when it comes to renewable energy generation, they have been severely constrained and restricted in their efforts. They can't do it. Not because they are lazy or not committed enough, or because they haven't thought about it hard. It's just because the rules for them don't work. The rules for generating energy do not work for communities and citizens in Ireland. They in fact work against them. And it's not just about selling power. As Paul has articulated, the rules around connecting to the grid and planning permission do not work for small generators. It's too difficult. We at Friends of the Earth are working to support a network of local power generators with some of the truly inspirational energy cooperatives to build community-based virtual power plants. And this is a system where communities and individuals invest in renewable energy generation, the power is sold into the grid, and other members of the communities can buy it back. We're also supporting those communities to install solar panels on their schools in their locality. And with initial support from a philanthropic trust, we have applied for match funding through the SEA grants programme to put solar panels on schools. Schools are beacons of the community, they are centres of education, and they host the people who in our country will be most affected by climate change. Students were invited to come up with ideas on what they would do on the energy transition. We were overwhelmed by the number and quality of applicants, and to help pick the winners we held an online public vote, which in 1 week received 20,000 hits. Not surprisingly, students in Ireland want to play their part in the solution. Under normal circumstances, however, for a school to invest in microgeneration does not make sense because schools are not open most of the year, 50% of the days in the year in fact. However, energy bills come out of capitation budgets, so every euro not spent on energy bills is a euro for the students. If income could be generated from the roof, that's more money directly for the schools. For the likes of these projects, unfortunately, to be replicated and scaled up, a business case is necessary. That's the reality. For people and groups to take the decision to support a sustainable energy development, the power that they generate needs to be measured, to be counted, and to be valued. Not paying ordinary citizens and communities for renewable energy is akin to supermarkets only paying corporate farmers and forcing small farmers to eat all their produce or give it away for free. Microgeneration may not offer the megawatts of renewable power that will put us on track to the Paris Agreement, and it may be marginally more expensive. We will certainly need continued investment in major energy infrastructure and large-scale renewable energy development. However, if we do not offer people the opportunity to fairly benefit from this energy transition, to see and touch and feel these technologies locally, their fears and opposition, however rational or irrational, will derail any best-laid plans. Currently, our energy subsidies are paid to professional developers, large utilities and semi-state organisations with a charge on all consumers' bills. The forthcoming Renewable Electricity Support Scheme will include further subsidies and does include a separate subsidy for community-led projects which are bigger than microgeneration, but notably not at first. And that's not fair either. And while any subsidy regime can have distributional impacts, we see no logic for demanding that bill payers only subsidise professional developers, and why rooftop generators or community generators are different to these other actors. They should be able to benefit the same as the big guys. and the benefits could be huge. A European think tank has recently done a study, CE Delft. They've estimated that almost half of EU citizens could be producing almost half the EU's energy by 2050. And from a national point of view, as far back as 2014, the NESC, the National Economic and Social Council, recommended building social support to enable continued wind energy development and strongly supported community and citizen participation to realise local benefit. Our white paper on energy recommends paying microgenerators. The Citizens' Assembly similarly included paying microgeneration. And it's going to happen, as has already been outlined. It's only a matter of time. The EU has granted new rights for consumers to produce, store, consume and sell renewable energy. The only choice we now have, and you as a committee have, is whether we get dragged into it by Europe at a later date, kicking and screaming, or we welcome it now, and we do it ourselves. In doing so, we build a democratic, fair and renewable energy system that we need. Climate change is not waiting. We need to completely transform our energy system. Let's give some power to the people to do it. So we're supporting this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank all the witnesses.